Hi everyone! Thank you for joining Scrapbook Blessings Club June Video Hop. We are sponsored this month by MHK Designs. And I'm Janie and I am number 3 in the lineup. There are 7 creative design team members with something to share with you. And if you watch, comment, and subscribe to each one, you'll be entered in a drawing to win one of the new June release image sets from MHK Designs that she has so graciously let us use for this hop. Below in the description box, you're going to find the lineup list so that you don't miss any of us. And there'll also be links to MHK Designs as well as to the image set that I'm going to be using today. And that image set is called Open Bloom, and this is what it looks like. The Open Bloom digital image set comes with this beautiful flower and 3 sentiments. And there's one of the sentiments right there. And I just love her images. They are awesome. They are great to work with. And right now we're going to head over to the craft table and I'm going to show you how to make a card like this. You can use this technique on any size card, but today I'm going to do it on a 5.5-inch square card, just like this. And I will just be showing you the technique of making the aperture and the technique of making the flower dimensional. So to get prepared, the first thing I did was I took a piece of cardstock that was 8.5 by 11 and I cut it so that it is 5.5 by 11, and then I scored it at 5.5 inches and created my 5.5-inch square card base. Then I printed my images, and here I'm using the Open Bloom image, which I absolutely love because it's so versatile and can be used, for so many different cards. And I made the image 3 inches by 2.5 inches because that's what's working for my card. And I also printed out a second one of the exact same size. And when I did this, I made sure this was going to be in the middle of my piece of cardstock. And I made this cardstock 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 so that when it's put inside, it will have that matte look around the edges. And of course your images won't be colored. I've already colored mine and don't pay any attention to them. But that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is find the right size circle or square or whatever die you want to use, but find the one that fits around the flower, allowing just the flower part to show through. It doesn't have to fit all the way around for the leaves, just for the flower. And then whatever size you feel is right for that, then you need to have the next size up die that's going to go around the outside of that, because that's how we make this aperture. So whatever size you need, you're going to need 2. Whether it's squares or circles or like I said, whatever size you choose to use, you're just going to need the 2 that fit inside of each other like that. Now, if you don't have dies, you can do the square really easy just by using your cutter. If you have a cutter like this, I'll try to show you even though this card is already made, just to give you an idea. So let's put our card in here and let's say that we want the square to be an 1.5 inches from each side, okay? So then you put it in here, you put your little thing to 1.5 inches before you put it down to cut, and you cut all the way over to 1.5 inches from this end. Now for mine, since it's 5.5 inches, 1.5 inches in would be 4. So I would cut from 1.5 inches to 4, and then I would turn the card again and do the exact same thing from 1.5 inches to 4 inches. So it's 1.5 inches from each end. And I would do that all the way around until that square was cut out. And you would do that for both the smaller square and the larger square. Due to a glitch with my camera, you missed the part where I put this through my Cuttlebug, but I'm going to walk you through everything anyway. So the next step is to find the paper or cardstock that you want to use on the front of your card. And I chose this. It's from MHK Designs, from one of their paper packs. And I love this, and I will put a link below so that you can go find the paper pack this came out of and see all the other pretty papers that came with it. But I cut this down to 5 1/4 by 5 1/4 so that it will mat nicely on the front of the card. And then I took the largest of the 2 dies that I'm using, and I ran this through my Cuttlebug. So I centered this and cut it out. You can save that pretty little circle for something else. But just make sure that you use the bigger die or make the biggest aperture on this layer. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use whatever adhesive you want and get this nicely centered on the front. And then we're going to cut out the next circle. So I'll be right back for that. Now that we have that glued to the front of the card, we need to finish cutting our aperture. And to do that, we're now going to need the smaller of the 2 dies to put right there in the middle. So here's some important things to remember. Number 1, make sure your card is open or it will cut it all the way through. So you don't want to make that mistake. So have it open when you lay it on the mat here. And get your circle or whatever shape you're using centered inside the other one. And I'm going to show you a technique I use sometimes. A little tip, I should say, not a technique, a tip. Is these are little Post-its, and you can use the bigger ones as well. But they're really great for holding your dies in place because they peel off really easy and they don't mess up your paper or your cardstock. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So there we go. And I'm going to run this through the Cuttlebug. And I'm actually going to run it back out because I don't want to run the rest of the card through there and take any chances of giving it little creases of any kind. So let's get this off here. There's another little circle that you can use. And that just comes right off. And there is your aperture in the front of your card. The next thing you want to do is color your image and get that piece put in your card. And you will notice I don't have the center colored, and that's not going to matter because I'm going to be layering the other flower over the top of it. So you're also going to want to color your second image. And you don't need to color the leaves for what I'm doing, and you don't need the stem or even that very back petal right there for the way I'm doing this, because we're just going to cut out the flower right there that I have colored. And you can ignore the green on the leaves that I have because I was just testing a color to see which green I liked. But there's something I like to share with you about MHK Designs images. If you will look, this leaf isn't colored, but it's already shaded. And you can see that on the other leaves, even though I've started coloring on them. Same thing with the flower. See if I can get it in here really good for you to see. And what's awesome about that is not everyone has all the Spectrum Noir or Copic markers that they need to use a variety of colors for blending. And with this, with the shadows already there, your image will look great even if you just use one color. And that's what I did. I actually used one of my distress markers and just used one color on the petals of that flower. And you can still see beautiful shading there. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go cut this out, and then I will be right back. I've got the flower all cut out, and a second tip I would like to give you is after you cut it out, there'll be the white edges, and to hide the white edges, I just take my black distress marker and I just go around the edges. See if I can get this in the camera good here. But I just go around all the edges to get rid of that white, and it just looks a lot better. Okay, so now we are ready to attach our flower. I'm just going to use a pop dot and I'll attach it right here to the back of the flower. And now all you have to do is line your flower up so that it matches the one underneath. Or you can turn it a little bit if you'd like. But I matched it up. And there you go. So it's dimensional. Look at that. It's just popping right out of the card. Is that cool or what? And that's all there is to making this card. It's that simple. Then you can add your own embellishments, ribbons, whatever you want to add, and you will have an absolutely gorgeous card that someone is going to love. Thank you all for hopping along with us. And don't forget, there are 7 of us and the lineup is below so you don't miss anyone. And be sure to comment and subscribe, because not only do we love it, but it gets you in the drawing for one of the new June release sets from MHK Designs. And you'll be able to see what the rest of them are by watching the videos, because we're all using different ones. And also at the end of this video, I'm going to do a little slideshow with all the cards that I have made with her new releases. Also below will be links so that you can find her store and you can see all of her images, because you don't want to miss out on those. So again, thank you all so much and happy crafting. Bye-bye.